week on the Analog Circle podcast, we find out when Cupheads DLC will finally release. Remedy gets back the publishing rights for Alan Wake. We get some new alleged GTA 6 news. The PlayStation 5 will target hardcore gamers. And we find out when we will get our first official look at Marvel's Avengers game. All of these stories and so many more in episode 104 of the Analog Circle podcast. I am your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and man, I'm coming to you live on the 4th of July. God dog, can't keep a brother away from this culture. But I definitely want to welcome you guys. Come on in. Kick your feet up, or if you're outside grilling, go ahead and turn the volume up because we're going to have some fun. We're going to have a good time today. And once again, thank you guys for tuning in to the podcast. Now, if you would like to be a part of the show, feel free to be able to interact with the show two different ways. You can either call in at 443-216-9934, or you can email the show, and the email address is the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. Now, guys, I want to start this thing off and just say, my goodness, this has been a very eventful week for me. But before I get into what I've been into, let me go ahead and get started with my favorite section of the podcast, and it is the feedback section. Might start calling this the holla back section. You know, everybody always says feedback. I just want you to holla at me. I want you to talk to me. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into a few emails that I received. Now, I have to read this email right here because I thought this was very interesting. And it is from no other than Mr. Free Fly Ferret. Now, listen to this. This is a very interesting email. Now, the title of his email is called Vegas Syndrome. Now, he says, my brother, great E3 shows, appreciated them and enjoyed listening. Hey, thank you for listening and tuning in, brother. He continues to say, I was thinking that life was a lot easier when we were kids and only had a few games to choose from. Heck, when I first started, I had to code basic games for magazines or make them up just to play something. You would get a game back then and play it for months on end. Nowadays, there are dozens of games releasing on the daily, and it can become a bit overwhelming. For me, it is most definitely a case of my appetite being much bigger than what I can actually consume. Especially with a 60-plus hour job. Wow, you a truck driver, brother? God dang. 60-hour plus job, 2 kids, and a wife. So my question to you is, do you think they put out too many games? Should publishers put more resources into less projects? I know you have a VR and a Switch not even opened yet and not a whole lot of free time, so maybe you would prefer less games and higher quality experiences. Just food for thought. He says, P.S. I remember being late to junior high every single darn day because me and my friends would be playing California games or something else on the C64. Free Fly Ferret, brother. Let me tell you, this is a great email. And by the way, man, look, I got some news about that Switch, brother. Oh, I got some news, man. But very good question. I said the same thing, Free Fly Ferret. I have been sitting here and I have been absolutely swarmed by tons of games that I have not played. I don't have the time. I just don't. being a truck driver, being on the road, like you were saying, 60-plus-hour weeks at times, well, maybe not quite 60, but at least 50-plus-hour weeks where I'm actually driving, not at home. Brother, it would be absolutely great, like you said, if they just slowed down a little bit. I mean, good grief. Next year is going to be insane. You're going to have Marvel, Avengers coming out. We got some news on that later on in the show. You got CD Projekt Red's game, Cyberpunk 2077. You got the new Watch Dogs coming out next year. Just so many games. And these are AAA games that we're going to have to choose from next year. My wallet is not going to be able to handle that much pressure. So I would really like it, Free Fly Ferret, if these publishers and developers, just like you said, maybe take it a little easy. And I understand that this is a multi-billion-dollar business and these guys are trying to strike while the iron is hot. But my gosh, how many games can a person play in a year? I mean, how many games can a person buy? That's the bigger question in a year. And I also understand that there are younger people that maybe are working part-time and they can breeze through 6 or 7 games at a time. So, I mean, it is different for them, but me as a full adult working full-time, I don't have any kids, but, still having to take care of the bills, having to take care of the house, the household. Yeah, man, it would be nice to see them slow up, put the brakes on, and just really concentrate on giving us the very, very best they can and having it just have a slow build. Because you're right, back when we were kids, games were not coming out this frequently. I'm telling you, this younger generation does not know how good they have it. And I don't want to be the old guy, back in my day. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying that it's a fact that when you go back to the Nintendo era, the Sega Genesis era, Super Nintendo era, when Star Fox came out, what was that on the Super Nintendo? That was a huge deal. And I mean, that game had to last for months before we found another big AAA game that was released. So, I mean, I'm being long-winded with my answer, but yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Free Fly Ferret, that it would be nice if these games came out at a slower pace. I know some people are not going to feel the same way. Some people are going to be like, I need it to be a buffet. I need to just eat as many of these as I can, and this is fine. But for me, I would like for it to slow down. But Free Fly Ferret, thank you so much for this email. This was a great email once again. I truly appreciate it. And please, please, please don't make it your last time writing in. Now, I also want to move on to the next email that I got. And I have to thank this brother. This looks like a brand new person as well. Let me make sure I get his name right. Mr. Crimson Phoenix. Now, this is the thing. He actually gave me a heads up on something. You guys remember when I had said it was a Nintendo code out there, 3 months, no, it wasn't even. No, I'm sorry. It wasn't Nintendo. This is actually for the 3 months of Game Pass. My apologies. I was saying, somebody, please let me know that you used it, because, I don't want to be frauding out here. Well, Mr. Crimson Phoenix, he actually took it upon himself and he looked up the code and it was unfortunately used. So definitely apologize about that, but I do want to thank you, Crimson Phoenix, for writing in and letting me know, brother. It's really, really appreciated. So, I guess that's all of the feedback that I have this week. So without further ado, I want to get in, and I mean, I am eagerly, I've been waiting to let you guys know what I have been into. Oh my gosh. Man, oh buddy. I finally opened up the switch. Oh yeah, Free Fly Ferret, I finally cracked the seal, brother. It has been, oh my goodness. It has been absolutely amazing playing the Nintendo Switch. I have been playing Super Mario Odyssey. Good gosh. I know I had done a podcast where I just talked about the Switch. I think it was like 20 plus minutes long, just about my experience with this system. And I have to say, playing Super Mario Odyssey, really sitting down with a Super Mario game in over 20 years, sitting down and playing this game, oh my goodness, absolutely incredible. I'm not going to harp on it too much. If you guys want to hear about my real reactions of the Switch, just download that podcast, listen to it. I got a little deeper into it there. But I haven't only just been playing Super Mario Odyssey, which plays like a dream. The game is absolutely fantastic. I also started on my friend Pedro. Woo-hoo, man! Brothers, my friend Pedro has a friend in me. This game is so awesome. I mean, it's just absolutely buttery smooth. It's fantastic. The gunplay, the gunplay. The game is awesome. It is fantastic, and I'm being so unprofessional because I'm getting a phone call in the middle of the show. My goodness. But that's okay, because we going to get back on track. And always remember, this is Unprofessional Productions over here. Never forget that. But I'm telling you, when I played my friend Pedro, God, dog, this game is $20. It's only $20. And what a sensational game. You guys know I have been waiting for a Max Payne game for years now. I don't know when Rockstar is going to give it to me. I don't know if we're ever going to get another one. But this game right here, it gave me the Max Payne vibes. When you slow down time and you do a cartwheel somersault flip in the air while you're dual wielding pistols and you're coming down and just shooting them off, shooting the shots off, boom, boom, boom. And you see the body physics on these enemies, the ragdoll physics are fun. Now, I ain't gonna say phenomenal, but they are great. For a $20 game, is so cinematic, man. I absolutely have been enjoying the heck out of my friend Pedro. It has been fantastic, and it's no more to say about that game. If you haven't picked it up and you have a Nintendo Switch, you are doing yourself a disservice. This game is great. Absolutely great. So with that being said, you know what, man, real quick, since I'm so high, so high on Nintendo, and since I want you guys to try my friend Pedro, cause it is $20, I am giving away this week another $20 Nintendo eShop code. Now, of course, you can spend this $20 however you choose. It doesn't matter to me. But if you've been thinking about my friend Pedro, then you might want to pick it up. So get your pens out, get your crayons out, and get your markers out. Anything to write this code down. So here we go. This is the code. It is B165 DSMM 32 KYC4F8. Once again, I'm going to repeat it just for good measure to make sure that I'm saying it right. It is B165 DSM as in money, M as in money, 32 KYC4F8. That's for $20 on the eShop. That's on me. I thank you guys for tuning in and rocking with me every week. It really means so much. And please, like I just said, please, for the love of goodness in your heart, let me know that you get the code so I don't have some person like my man Crimson over there thinking that it was good and it was used. So please just do me that favor. Let me know what's going on. Let me know you got it. That's all I ask. You can email the show at the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com, or you can call in at 443-216-9934 and let me know that you were able to redeem it. Now, guys, cause good grief, that was a long intro. My apologies. But without further ado, though, let's go ahead and get into, and we got some of it, the gaming news that went down. Let's get things started. Let's go with PlayStation 4, because, we have heard for a while now that EA Access is coming to the PlayStation 4, but now we have a confirmed date. Now it's going to release on July 24th. That's when the service will be available on the PlayStation 4, and you can either pay $5 a month, or you can get a year of EA Access for $30. Now, just as a reminder, the PlayStation 4 will not have as big of a library when compared to the Xbox One, because the PlayStation 4 doesn't support backwards compatibility. But nonetheless, it's still a great service for what you get. You guys that play the PlayStation 4 exclusively, you'll be able to have access to these EA games for $30 a year. That's a darn good deal. Moving on to the next story. So let's talk about Google Stadia. Now, people have been wondering, since Stadia is a subscription service, then maybe buying the games would be cheaper. Well, Google's game boss, Mr. Phil Harrison, had this to say to various UK games media, and I quote, "I don't know why buying games on Stadia would be cheaper. The value you get from the game on Stadia means you can play it on any screen in your life, TV, PC, laptop, tablet, phone. I think that is going to be valuable to players." End of quote. So not only will you have to pay $9.99 a month, but also full price for a game that you may not have access to in the next 2 years. We see that with Xbox's Game Pass. I believe 6 games just left. Of course, they got 6 more in. But Google Stadia, I don't know if it's a tough sale. I mean, look, you're going to pay $60 and you're going to pay the $10 a month. I understand that. I think with their service, you do get some games, but I don't know if that's the $10 a month tier, but I could be wrong. But that is something. So if you want these AAA games, you're not going to get them discounted. It's going to be full price and $10 a month. Somebody did the math on that, right? They said over a year. It was either a year, might have been 2 years, but I'm really leaning towards that year and some change. They said you would end up spending more on Google Stadia as opposed to going out and buying one of the main consoles, either a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. I don't think they put the Switch in there, but I mean, shoot, I'll put it in there. It's just as expensive pretty much. So you end up spending more. But if you want to approach it from an initial cost of not having the upfront money, then, I mean, go for it. But good gosh, I just don't know how well Stadia is going to work. I mean, data caps are a real thing. Buffering is a real thing. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens with this service, see how many people support it, and see where it goes from there. Now, moving on now, this is some huge Remedy news, because the company has acquired the publishing rights to Alan Wake. Now, when asked by GameSpot what this meant for the future of the franchise, Remedy said, and I quote, "The only thing we want to clarify Hold on, let me make sure I said this right. Okay. Yeah, the only thing we want to clarify now is that Remedy owns the publishing rights, and that means that we could bring Alan Wake to different platforms if we choose. We have nothing to announce for now. End of quote. Now, this made headlines. I mean, this flew through the gaming streets like a stray bullet. I mean, it was just pew. I mean, it was everywhere, all over the media. Now people are thinking and saying, of course, could this mean that PlayStation is going to get Alan Wake? My thing was this. Microsoft. Phil. How in the world could you let this happen? Now, nobody knows the details. Let's be fair about the situation. We don't know if it was a situation where the franchise stayed dormant for so many years and all of a sudden the publishing, all that stuff, the rights go back to Remedy. Nobody knows how this deal worked. But this is a slap in the face, okay? As an Xbox fan, now granted, I'm not going to sit up here and lie to y'all and say, oh, I was looking so forward to the next Alan Wake. Shame on you, Phil, for not letting this happen. I wanted this game. No. I never played a Alan Wake game. But there were so many Xbox fans that had been clamoring for a sequel to this game. Just like fans have been clamoring for a Sunset Overdrive 2, like we've been trying to get a Rise 2. I mean, this is not a new thing. We have been asking Phil and company and friends, when are we going to get sequels to this? And now Alan Wake is no longer under your control, and this means that you have basically lost another console exclusive. Because now Remedy can shop this around. They can go to Sony. I mean, at this point, they can go to Nintendo and say, look, do you want Alan Wake 2? This is just, it's just horrible. I don't know how else to put it. Like I said, and I'm going to repeat myself here, I don't know the logistics of it. I don't know what happened with the licensing and all of that stuff. All I do know is Xbox fans were asking for a sequel, and we get absolutely nothing. Another game out the door. Poof. Bye-bye. This is something. Since this has happened, because this is no longer but if this does mean that we'll get another Alan Wake, a sequel, and it's going to be on another platform or multiple platforms, that's still a win for the people that wanted a Alan Wake sequel. So it's not all bad. It just means that Microsoft has just given up on another IP that their fan base would have, I'm sure, supported. And I think that is the bigger picture here, is that Microsoft, they just don't take the risks or the chances, or they are just completely tone deaf to what their fans want. But I'm not going to harp on this anymore. Hey, congratulations, Remedy. I salute you for getting your rights back to this IP, and hopefully you guys will use it. Come out with a remake, put it on all platforms, get the buzz going about the game for people like myself who might not have played it already, possibly release it at $30 or $40, get the buzz up, and then tell everybody you're working on a sequel. I think it would be awesome, and I look forward to seeing what happens with this IP. Moving on, so into some Nintendo news. Now, at this point, I think it's a safe bet to say that we will not be getting an N64 Mini this year. I think it's safe. But according to a report by Japanese Nintendo, we could possibly see other Nintendo systems classic games appear on the Switch. And I quote, this is the quote: "At this place, we cannot Yeah, they said at this place. Yeah, I don't know, man. We cannot tell new information about future classic hardware, among others, but we are thinking about providing an extension of the online service which is currently providing Famicom or NES software, as well as other methods of providing them. We also recognize that there are opinions wanting to play past titles. End of quote. So I read this, and what I got out of this now, you guys could correct me and tell me I'm tripping and I'm seeing things that just are not there. But to me, this says that Nintendo just may have another online service where you pay to play the classic games. So this would be not the 12 months of the online Nintendo online service, but like they said, it would be an extension. So let's say for $5 a month, somewhere around there, just imagine this, because I thought this was gonna be an announcement at E3, but it wasn't. But just imagine, let's just say hypothetically, Nintendo says for $5 a month, you'll have access to not only the Nintendo games, but the Super Nintendo games, the N64 games, and the GameCube games. And let's just throw it in there for good measure, even the Wii games. I don't think they're going to do Wii U, because we see that the pattern is they've been taking quite a few Wii U games and putting them on the Switch. But how great of a deal would that be to know that you have back catalogs of all of these consoles? That would be amazing. If this is the case, I think this would do very well for Nintendo, especially for people that have that nostalgic feel and people that want to play some of these older games. It'll be an all-in-one system. You'll be playing N64 games on the go. You'll be playing Super Nintendo games on the go. This could be huge. And I gotta say, being a Switch lover right now, oh yeah, man, I love the daggone Switch. It's amazing. Being as though I had tried this. I didn't tell you guys this earlier when I was talking about the Switch, but I just tried to undock the Switch just to see what would happen. I stopped the game, pulled the Switch up out of the joint, and all of a sudden, bam, the game picked up right where it left off. Absolutely unbelievable. You're going out on the road. You want to play some classics. This could be huge for Nintendo. I just hope that it's true, and hopefully we get some more information about this very, very soon. So let's move on. Excuse me, to another story. Oh, this is just a quick news story. This wasn't really that important, but Mario Maker 2, you can only make up to 32 levels at one time. You can't do any more than that. I don't even know why the world I even put this up there. But, yeah, if you're a creator, Mario Maker 2, yeah, you can't put more than 32 levels up there at a time. I was dumpster diving with that one, y'all. God darn. Well, let's move on. Now, for Walking Dead fans, Skybound Games, who took over when Telltale Games went under, is releasing a definitive series of The Walking Dead, which will release for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on September 10th, 2019, both digitally and physically. Now, this will include every episode of each season. You will receive 10 plus hours of bonus content, providing an in-depth look at the making of the game from the developers. You'll get the voice actors and the rest of the team that worked on it. It'll be a music player where you'll have access to over 40 different tracks spanning all 4 seasons. You'll get access to art gallery, a 3D model viewer, complete with voice lines. Now, the option to turn Yeah, you'll also have the option to turn on the classic menus from previous seasons. It'll also include 400 Days DLC, the Michonne spinoff, as well as a filter that will convert the game's graphics into graphic black mode to make it more like the comics. Now, I gotta say, this is a big package. Now, unfortunately, when I wrote this, it did not have a release date attached to, not a release date, a price point of how much it would cost. So, but with that though out the way, this is a lot of content in this. Anybody that has been a huge Walking Dead fan, now you can look at this two different ways. You can say, shoot, man, I already bought all of the seasons. I know the outcome of what happens to Clementine and all of that stuff. What do I need this for? But if you are a huge fan, like I said, and are very interested in, getting every single nook and cranny of what this game has to offer, then this hopefully it'll be a fantastic deal. I don't know if they're going to want $100 for it. I don't know if it'll be priced at $60. I'm thinking, I don't know, man. These things are tricky. I would say $60 since the seasons were $20 a piece, somewhere around there. But with all of this content, who knows how much it'll be. It might be $100, but nonetheless, I do want to say this, that black mode, seeing it in action, they had this video up where they had them side by side, and that black mode really pops. It really makes the game look a little more detailed. It gives it a darker look, but it enriches the color of, how the game looks. It looks fantastic. And a person like me, who has not played any of the Walking Dead games, this definitely, it appeals to me because I didn't really catch on to The Walking Dead until the final season was pretty much over, and they had a demo of it up on the Xbox. Yeah, it was a demo up on Xbox One, and I was just floored at how great the game looked. It looked fantastic. So for me, I would be interested if the price is right. This would be a game that would interest me. So we'll see what happens with this. Think it's great news that they're really giving this game a really good send-off. They already did. Skybound Games, they finished it and completed it so everybody could find out what happened. But this would be great, like I said, for the hardcore fans of the game. So let's move on into now this right here. This is some real rumor-verse news. Now, my goodness, I can't express this enough. Please, by all means, take this with a small, tiny pinch of a grain of a mustard seed, because we have some GTA 6 alleged news. Now, this is a big list, so we're going to be here for a minute. So if GTA 6 does not really move your meter too much, you might want to fast forward. But nonetheless, this is the alleged GTA 6 leaks that have come out. Now, this is coming way of a Reddit user called Jack-O-Lantern 1982. So, and also, it's also been, why did I say also? It's also. Listen, it's just been said, this list of things is looking a little spooky. It's looking real spooky. So, nonetheless, man, I took time to write this down, and this is a lot, so we gonna go over it, guy dog, and we gonna get into it. Now, once again, this guy's Jack-O-Lantern 1982. He's the one reporting these leaks. So let's go ahead and start. He says the game was started back in 2012, and the code name for the game is Project Americas. He says the location is set in both Vice City and a new fictional location based on Rio de Janeiro. I know I always say that wrong, but you know what it is, Rio, where there will be a linear missions that will take place in Liberty City, but they won't be open world. So that's a lot to take in. Okay, so Project Americas, they're going to have you going to Vice City, you're going to be going to Rio, and you're going to be going back to Liberty City, but it looks like when you go to Liberty City, those missions will not be open world. Very, very interesting. Now, the game will balance realism and arcade, and it won't be as realistic as Red Dead 2. They said one playable protagonist is male, not female, despite supposed leaks. It's going to be set in the 1970s and 80s as you play an up-and-coming drug lord wannabe named Ricardo. I'm putting that in quotes, Ricardo. Now this right here, god darn, the 70s and the 80s, interesting times. Oh man, I was born in 79. So, the 80s were definitely my era as a kid. Good grief. I don't know. The only game that I've played that has taken place, and I'm not going to say only, but the most recent game I played, and I don't even think that was quite the 70s, might have been the 60s, was Mafia 3. And that time, that era is a very, very interesting era. Even the 60s. But into the 70s and the 80s, it gets even more interesting. So I'm not going to harp on it. We got a lot more to cover here. So let me go ahead and kick it in the second and third gear. Okay. Now another key character called, now quote, Casey is a part of the narrative. Now you start off as a grunt doing runs as a cocaine smuggler. Oh man, this brother's moving to white. From Vice City to the new large South American area, before making connections with big-time drug lords and making your way up multiple cities. Now, there will be a giant prison, and this stuff, it just gets crazy. But they're saying it's going to be a giant prison, which will play a part in the game. Now, wait a minute. That giant prison, brother. Okay, now the only thing I can think is, okay, we're working with next-gen hardware. I'm thinking, if this is true, now once again, take all of this with a grain. Good grief, just a small inch of salt and mustard seed. But the only thing I can think of with this prison is if you're doing a crime and maybe you get arrested, you know how usually it's just game over, you get the 5 stars or whatever and they just gun you down. But maybe somewhere in the game, you might get arrested and you get put in prison and I don't know, you start recruiting people. I don't know. I have no idea how it would work. You tell them, look, you break me out of prison, I'll owe you one. We saw it in Red Dead Redemption where you had to break out Micah out of jail. I don't know. I'm reaching. I'm Fantastic Four Armstrong reaching right now, but let's continue. Let's see what else they have to say about this. They said weather is a heavy focus. It's going to be hurricanes and floods, etc. God darn, now that's dope if it's true. I've never seen a game where the weather, the actual weather, really has a real-time effect on what's going on. And we know down in Florida, good gosh, man, they get some terrible weather. Just imagine the possibilities. You're trying to get out of town. All of a sudden you get hit with a tornado or a hurricane and you're just trying to get the heck up out of there and you can't. Or if you're flying in a helicopter and the weather starts getting bad, hurricane, you're carrying weight on you. It could get real spooky out there. This could be a very interesting mechanic if it's done right. Now, they also said that buildings will change over the eras as well as vehicles. So older or rare classic cars get more expensive as time progresses. Man, I don't know, brothers. The more I read this out loud, the more I'm saying to myself, why the heck did you waste your time writing this, man? But if it's true, it's very, very interesting. Maybe you could sell the cars. Who knows, man? Where did I leave off? It'll be a full economy. It says it's going to be heavily inspired by Netflix's Narcos. They want to have an incredible 1970s, 80s soundtrack. If you played Mafia 3, you know their soundtrack was absolutely fantastic. fantastic timepiece music. So I'm sure that if this is the case, Rockstar will absolutely knock it out of the park with their soundtrack. It says you will do missions for the Matarazzo family involving hits on other gangs. You'll have Drug Empire building as a mechanic, similar to Vice stories, but bigger. It was saying think GTA Online system and dial it up to 10. You can only have weapons on your person. That's interesting. No arsenal in your back pocket. Your personal vehicle will be like your horse saddle in Red Dead Redemption 2, and all of your equipment is stored in the trunk. So, I mean, God, dog, I mean, how the world does this person know all of this? I mean, it's one thing when I'm writing this stuff down and I'm just jotting it down, just trying to get through it and, just kind of reading over it little by little. But it's a totally different feeling when you actually reading it out and, people are listening and you start second guessing this stuff like, wow. I mean, your car is going to be like your saddle in Red Dead Redemption 2. You're not going to be able to carry guns on you. So basically, it won't be a weapon wheel unless you actually have the weapon on you. I know down here they were saying, let me see. Okay, it's saying you're going to wear your body armor. Good grief. And if you wear it, it actually appears on your character. Man, look, listen, I'm not going to read the rest of this. All right. I mean, this stuff is just, I don't know, man. The one part is said they were going to be talking about AIDS and other stuff, and they're going to have a version of Fidel Castro. I mean, hey, look, man, look, I'm not going to waste your time. As I read it, unfortunately, it just seemed like the whole story just unraveled right in front of my face. But, nonetheless, very interesting if it is true. I don't know for sure, but, good gosh. Yeah, I mean, we were pretty much done the list anyway. But nah, we gonna move on, brothers. I don't know. Take that with a grain, brother. Take it with a grain. Now, a new report published by the Wall Street Journal claims, and this is what I'm talking about, baby. This is it. Claims that Sony will be targeting, quote, hardcore gamers with its next-gen console, offering graphically intensive games and high-quality exclusives. One Sony official allegedly told, now this is something. This is where it gets interesting. Allegedly told Wall Street Journal that the company believes people buy consoles to play, and I quote, graphics-heavy games. Another official added that AAA exclusives attract buyers rather than, and listen to this because I think this is a shot. This is a straight shot. He said rather than indie games that can be played on other platforms like smartphones. He continues to say the company is said to be concentrating on strengthening relationships with large publishers as well as working on AAA exclusives from its internal studios. They are also not targeting, this was something. Where they said they are not, let me find where I left off at. He said they are also not targeting indie or smaller developers as resources are limited. For example, at this year's Tokyo Game Show, Sony is not planning to showcase any indies as they have done in previous years. And because of this, executives at smaller studios, they feel snubbed by this strategy. However, and this is where I don't know if we can really get cocky, Sony, or what, because one Sony official said this. He said he believes that hold on, let me get this. Okay, Sony official believes that we still release games for PlayStation 5 even without the platform holders' support because the popularity will mean it will be a key market they cannot ignore. So basically this guy says, and he remained nameless, he wouldn't put his name out there, but this Sony official says, look, we're not worried about if we're not pushing the indies, because the PlayStation 5 is going to be so dominant that they're gonna have to put it on our platform if they want to move units. That is basically what this guy said. He said because holders support, because the popularity will mean it will be a key market they cannot ignore. So is Sony getting cocky again? I don't know. We're at the last part of this. Sony also said that they claimed that Microsoft still is its main competitor. They're not worried about Nintendo. They say Nintendo, they go for a younger demographic, so they are not their competition, but Microsoft is. I'ma say this, man, and I know I botched that reading and all of that stuff. Excuse me, pardon me. But I will say this. I truly believe that they are absolutely correct. I don't know anybody who buys a console for AA games, for indie games. Now, granted, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. My friend Pedro, that is a AA game. But guess what you have around my friend Pedro? You have Super Mario Odyssey. You have Mario Kart. You have Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild around there. You have Luigi's Mansion coming out. You have tons of AAA games surrounding the AA's, which makes the AA's not look that bad. So my point is, yes, every gamer out there is targeting the big market. Microsoft, you need to listen, because Sony is correct. No hardcore gamer. This is the thing. Sony are just opportunists. They really are. They look and it is so clear. Sony is not just an amazing gaming company. Don't get me wrong. They have made some of the best games this generation, bar none. They have had several Game of the Year contenders this whole generation. Even some of them won. God of War just won last year. But what Sony does is they just sit and they watch Microsoft. That's why I've said for years, why won't Microsoft let Sony go first? See how the crowd feels. If they frick up and Microsoft can get a heads up, they can say, oh, shoot, we're not doing that. And this is the thing. Sony just sits and they watch. They say, what is Microsoft doing? Oh, shoot. Okay. Looks like their fan base feels like they're not being for the hardcore gamer. Guess what? We're going to say we're for the hardcore. Come see us. We have the AAA single player games that you are looking for. It is obvious. It is painfully obvious that Sony is not doing anything special with the strategy. They are just letting Microsoft hang themselves. They're letting Microsoft take all of the arrows, all of the bullets, and they're just sitting back and they're saying, well, guess what? We're going to sidestep over here. That is all they are doing, and it is working. It is absolutely working, because this generation, I don't care what side you stand on as your preferred platform, nobody can say that PlayStation has not delivered on the AAA experiences this generation. And unfortunately, this new path that Microsoft is going down, they are not, and I repeat, they are not worried about the hardcore. These AA games ain't it, Chief. That's just not gonna work. So if Sony's saying this, I'm glad. I'm very happy. I'm very sure that these indie games, they will be on the platform, like whoever this nameless exec is. He's saying that they're gonna put their games on the platform because we're gonna be the place to be. We're gonna be a key they have to, we're going to be a key platform that they're not going to be able to afford to not have their games over here. So, I mean, look, I'm glad that Sony is taking that stance. I'm very, very happy to hear that they've had the cojones to say this, because Microsoft sits there and just keeps on shoveling these AA games down our throat. Nothing amazing or exciting and new. Good grief. It just gets repetitive, where all you have is Halo, Gears, and Forza, and that's all the AAAs you're going to get on Microsoft's side. So bravo to Sony. I hope you really keep your word and you keep on bringing out these AAA amazing games, because we want them. Hardcore wants them. Look, I'm not going to harp on this anymore. God darn, I went way too long. Anyway, let's move on, man. I'm going to have to speed it up here. How many more stories I got left, man? Let's see, man. We almost done. Yeah, we almost done. All right, let's get into the Spider-Man news. It was just announced, this was actually yesterday, by PlayStation Japan's Twitter account, that Peter's upgrade suit and stealth suit will be available for free via a new DLC pack. So these two new suits from the Spider-Man movie, Far From Home, brings the Spider-Man MCU suit count up to 5. It's free DLC. Once again, this is another AAA game from Sony, and it was great. I've been playing through it. It's been spectacular. No pun intended. Moving on to the next story. Now, you guys remember a few weeks ago when Shenmue 3 was getting backlash for their exclusive deal with Epic, and they said they would reassess the situation. Well, they have. And Yeez wrote, and I quote, "Coordination with the sales policies of the involved companies was untenable. And as a result, we are not able to make a day one distribution option for Steam keys available." End of quote. But all hope is not lost, because they are offering options. You can opt to get it physically on PlayStation 4, or receive a PSN code, or get an Epic Game Store code, or get the physical PC version that comes with a disc as well as an Epic Game Store key. Now, if that's not something that interests you and you just want to get it on Steam, you got to have it on Steam. You can either wait a year to get the Steam key or get a refund. But as it stands, the refund process hasn't been announced as of yet. So, I mean, they're giving you options. If you have a PlayStation 4, get it there. You can still get it on PC. You just got to get it on the Epic Store, But anyway, let's move on from there, because I'm still trying to speed this up. We coming up on an hour in a couple minutes. But you guys know one of the announcements, that I was waiting for during E3 was the DLC for Cuphead. Well, sadly, it wasn't there. But earlier today, which was actually yesterday, MDHR took to Twitter to show the first gameplay teaser trailer, and we found out that the name of the DLC is called, what's it called? Hold on, I got it here. The Delicious Last Course. Now, they also announced that the DLC is getting pushed back to 2020. Now, here is the statement, and I quote, "To make things in a way that's healthy and sustainable for our team." End of quote. That's what they're saying. Let's continue with it. So hold on, wait a minute. Yeah, that's all. I'm just giving my personal thoughts. Yeah, I actually saw the trailer, and my goodness, I'm excited, man. You were fighting this abominable looking snowman that had a long beard, and I forgot the female character's name. I think her name is Chalice. Chalice. That makes sense. Oh, man. But the game looks fantastic. It's going to be great. Now, one interesting thing that I did see on this YouTube video, I might add, was not only did they have Xbox One, it coming to Windows 10, Xbox One, they also had Switch up there. This is coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, I don't know if this DLC is going to be day and date on the Switch. Who knows? But if this is the case, I don't think that you have to look too far to see what Microsoft is doing. They are phasing out the Xbox brand. Well, I'm not going to say the Xbox brand, but the Xbox console. Because if this hits the Switch day and date, I don't know, brothers. I don't know. I might pick it up on the Switch because at least with the Switch, I can have the option to take it on the go with me. So for Switch owners that might have been worried or didn't even know that a DLC was in the works, guess what? Y'all aren't being left out of the fold. Y'all are going to be there possibly day and date. But nonetheless, MDHR, I'm a big fan of their work. I will wait for this. I mean, it's fine if you guys need to take care of your mental health and get yourselves together to be able to do it in a timely fashion, which is healthy for you. Then, I mean, hey, do what you got to do. It's all good. You know, I tell you this crunch narrative, though, I'm getting tired of it. I'll be honest with you. I understand developers, they get overworked and, you know, it can be tough. It can be very, very rough. But this is all, I mean, any job when you got crunch, it gets hard. As a truck driver, my goodness, it's been times where I have come home, done my break, and I'm right back out the door because they're like, look, we got to move this stuff. And it's crunch time. Everybody runs into crunch. I mean, I'm not saying it's right, but good grief. I think that at times things just get blown way, way out of proportion. And, you know, it's like, oh, no, I can't do it. I'm under stress. I mean, maybe I'm being, a little, unfair, possibly am. I would have to really talk to a developer to get their side of it. So, I mean, maybe I'll hold off on and take back some of the remarks I said. But speaking of developers, I didn't even write this down. You know what? Let me finish this up real quick because this is getting long-winded. But in Marvel news, you know, it was a shame that we never got to see official E3, you know, the official E3 demo of the game, the Avengers game. But, you know, things are actually looking up because during San Diego Comic-Con, fans will learn a bit more about this upcoming title because there will be a panel at the event where they are promising a first look at, and I quote, exciting new content, end of quote, for the Avengers game, as well as other titles like Iron Man VR and Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Now, this event will take place on July 18th, 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. This will be great. I kind of forgot about the Iron Man VR, but, you know, on the side of that, I'm not really super interested in it. I might check it out since I do have a VR. And if it looks cool, I'll probably pick it up. But yeah, I'm more excited about the Avengers game, Marvel Avengers, because that game looked awesome. Looking at it on that phone, it looked fantastic. But, what I wanted to talk about, I mean, the last story was Detroit Become Human is the PSN game for the month. They actually subbed it out for PES, I think 2019, which was incredible. Cause I mean, god darn, Detroit Become Human, I don't even know if that's a year old yet. And that game is absolutely marvelous. So Sony is out there giving their fans exactly what they want. My hat goes off to them. And that's about it. But the thing that I wanted to bring up was, you guys know that I was so mad that the last night never made an appearance at E3. I didn't know this, man. Come to find out, the game is teetering on being canceled right now. This game absolutely looked phenomenal. Now, if you want to check it out, go on YouTube, type in the last night. But I started doing research, and the game is getting canceled or possibly canned because of some SJWs, man. Some social warriors or whatever about some of the comments that the I don't even know if he's the CEO, but one of the lead guys on the project, or the lead guy on the project, where at first he was like, man, we got funding, we got more people added to our studio. Then the next thing you know, he is going down the drain, so this game could possibly never release because their funding got cut. The partners that they had, they pulled out because of this situation. I don't know who the chick was that was talking real greasy, saying that, the game didn't represent feminism or something like that. I'm like, come on, get the frick out of here, man. It's like, God darn. Sometimes I just get so pissed off at people bringing their 2 cents into what gaming should be, and, I'm not being represented enough. Man, get out of here, man. Some people just want to complain about nothing. And these SJWs, God darn, we could miss out on what could have been a fantastic game because people brought up tweets from like 4 years ago on this dude who basically, what he was saying was, he wasn't pro-feminist, he wasn't against feminism, he was just for letting the right person be the person who's qualified to get the job. And they took a big issue with this. So, man, I don't care, okay? I don't do this for a living. I do this because it's a hobby of mine, and I love talking gaming. So, to me, SJWs, I don't think it it just shouldn't be involved in gaming. I mean, look, if somebody is working on the game, let them have the vision of the game that they want to have. Because I didn't even know this, but the game's vision, he was telling a story where society, nobody works and everybody's pretty much taken care of. The world is automated. Robots have basically taken over all human tasks, and people are just trying to find a reason not to live, but they're just trying to be a part of something. They're trying to, just find something out there, because right now, not right now, but in the game, the last night, that was the setup. Humans are just being taken care of. I mean, it's nothing out there. So I thought it was a very interesting concept. Go out there and look it up on YouTube. I mean, I was just sad to hear that this game is being basically canceled because of an opinion, a darn opinion of how a person felt. Scott didn't say anything wrong. He didn't say anything racist. He didn't say anything that was demeaning. He just had his opinion. And because of that, this guy gets blackballed. At the end of the day, his team is, that they're holding on. They're trying to, keep the game afloat by getting donations and things. But God dag, man, Microsoft, they basically pulled out, they are, and it's just a sad moment. It's just one of those times where someone's personal opinion, and I've said this a million times already, has taken away something that could have been so great. I mean, what kind of society are we living in? Anyway, that's the end of the gaming news. We'll be back with the final section of the podcast right after this week's Video Game Theater. Stay tuned.
There's a traitor in our midst. But how? Who? It matters not. I am one step ahead of him. Come, buddy. It is time.
gone. He left as soon as the shooting started. And in this snow, I'm sure of it.
You can't be sure of that. I mean, if you knew, you'd be dead already.
He told me to meet him at the Citadel.
And welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. Now, we're in the final section of the podcast, and sorry about this one running real late, and I apologize for my delivery. As far as me reading these stories and just getting it wrong, I've just accepted that I'm just not that great. So, anyway, let's go ahead and get into it, though. Now, the question of the week that I want to ask you guys is Game Pass killing AAA games on Xbox? Now, I'm not going to go through the whole spiel and deal and wheel of everything that's been going on at Xbox. We all saw E3 2019. I don't think there's much more to say. So I want to know, do you guys think? I said it already. Anyway, if you want to chime in this section of the podcast, you can do so by either calling in at 443-216-9934, or you can email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and man, oh man, we'll be back at it again next week, hopefully. But until then, always remember, it's not about the consoles. It is about the games. So with that being said, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.